Good afternoon, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talks MLB update. How's everybody doing today? I want to thank everybody who's watching this afternoon on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all the groups. Anybody who'll watch any of the groups that will allow us to share. You see our favorites. Whoop, you don't see our favorites right now scrolling on the bottom here. Let me get them back up there. You see our favorites scrolling at the bottom, but all the groups that allow us to share all the shows, we thank. Specifically, as you see at the bottom, John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings at America's Pastime, The Love for Baseball, Flo and Can over there at Bottom Line Sports. Great podcast that they'll be starting up again as Flo gets back into the States. Let's Talk Sports, still a great affiliation there. And Ken Krause, Golf Buds, Sports of All Sorts, and so many others, both podcast sites, baseball sites, football, whatever. If I share this show, guys, there's relevant content somewhere in the hour, 2 hours, whatever the shows are. Catch this morning's Jack and Keith's weekend playbook. We had a spirited conversation this morning about the NFL season and baseball as well. Check that out. And last Wednesday's college football huddle. We got not two great series. I mean, I think we know the Dodgers are who we thought they were, right? They're up 3-0. The starting pitching has been magnificent, specifically Snell and Yamamoto. Glasnow pitched well last night, threw a lot of pitches in 5 2/3 and 100. Today, we can't go past 100. That would be blasphemous. But they lead that series 3-0. The Brewers haven't hit, and the LA Dodgers starting pitching's had something to do with that. Mookie Betts has played really well. In the other series, the Mariners got out to a quick 2-0 start. A bit surprising coming off that 15-inning Game 5 in the NLDS. So, nice quick start for the Mariners. Great starting pitching Game 1, Game 2. I thought Game 3 they had really good starting pitching as well. And the bullpen pitched great. But last night, the last 2 nights, the Blue Jays have won on the road. So no home teams have won here yet. It's 2-2. 2 road wins apiece. A little odd. Max Scherzer was a workhorse last night, if you will. A bulldog, I guess is a better word. Hello, Rick. Good afternoon to you. Max Scherzer was a bulldog last night. I mean, listen, a guy like Scherzer has earned the right to bark at his manager the way he did last night. And it showed you, and by the way, there's a couple of things for, starting pitching wise that take away from this series. Hello, AC. Good to have you with us. First and foremost, I want MLB teams, organizations to see what the Dodgers did in Game 1 and Game 2. 8 innings out of Snell, 9 innings out of Yamamoto. Danny Fuller said it this morning. They let the eye test rather than a script tell them what they should do with their pitching. Good old-fashioned baseball. Last night, not so much. Get 99 pitches from Glasnow, 5 2/3. Pitched really well. Exhibit A, how to fix starting pitching and how to fix baseball, by the way. Exhibit B, every single starting pitcher. And again, I don't want you to be disrespectful, and you've got to have earned the right to do this. Max Scherzer showed you last night, you shouldn't be looking for somebody to come and get you when you get in trouble. You should be telling your manager, get back to the dugout. Depends on who you are. But Max Scherzer has earned that right. And I had the conversation here queued up. I don't think I have it right now. Let me see if I don't have it anymore. It was really interesting listening to Schneider go through this whole conversation. What happened on the mound, what happened in the clubhouse after the inning was over. And that's what I want. I don't want pitchers to be disrespectful, but I want you to want to stay in the game. I want you to have that fire that you saw in Max Scherzer at 41 years old or whatever the hell he is last night. And maybe things will change in the way we approach pitching and games in general. And as far as pitching goes, the Dodgers have been just outstanding. I made a comment that I stand by right now still. Again, just because 3 or 4 games have gone by, depending on the series, doesn't mean my comment is necessarily wrong. And I didn't say the Dodgers pitching wasn't great. It is. I thought the Mariners were better. His manager, and you're right, Rick. And by the way, what Schneider also said was, I've been waiting all year for Max Scherzer to do exactly what he did last night, to get in my face the way he did last night. I mean, they had some words in that nobody saw when Scherzer, and we all assumed once he got the third out in the 5th, he'd be out of the game. But he went up into the clubhouse, into the dugout, up through the runway to the clubhouse. And Schneider followed him right up there, and he said, "You're done." And Scherzer said, the FIM, I've still got it. And Scherzer, and I'm sorry, Schneider pretty much said, if you think you got it, fine, but you better come through. And pretty much what he said to him on the mound. And they were dropping F-bombs at each other. And Schneider did make light of it, but he didn't make light of it in the sense, in my mind, in the sense that he's been looking for that fire from his pitching staff and Scherzer specifically all season. Every single starting pitcher, and I'm not saying, as I said, don't go out there and disrespect your manager, but you should be out there with that type of fire. You shouldn't be happy just handing the ball over and come out of the game after 70 pitches. So happy. Where's Danny Fuller? Because he made a comment this morning when we were talking about this, and we didn't get a chance to elaborate a lot this morning on his comment that Dave Roberts, love him or hate him, Dodger fans hate him more than I do. I think he's a pretty good manager. Dave Roberts let the eye test tell him what to do in game 1 and game 2, not whatever was on the script. Not like the Yankees. We're going to run it back again. What did Joe Sherman call them? What Joe Sherman called them in the Post this morning? The red zone Yankees, right? Because they keep getting to the red zone, but they can't get in the end zone. And they just keep running it back. Running it back. Yankees already going to start behind the 8 ball next year. Not surprisingly, Volpe had surgery on his non-throwing shoulder, but could have affected his defense. I don't know. But he'll miss the first month probably next year, maybe a bit longer. Cole, after his Tommy John surgery this year, will not be ready for opening day. Hopefully he'll be ready in April sometime. Rondon won't be ready in April. So here we are, not even finishing up 25, and the 26 Yankees have already got their backs to the wall. Well, let's keep running it back with, and by the way, how can, oh my God, in the dual press conference that we see every year with Cashman and Boone, they tell us what went wrong and how we'll try harder. Boone was asked, what was he asked? Let me see if I can find. Joe Sherman called them the embodiment of baseball insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Here's a key problem, and this is what I get. When asked what made the folks with the Yankees think that these Yankees, as currently constituted, from owner down to players, can ever be the last man standing, the last team standing, Boone said, I don't know. Well, that'll make you want to jump up and go play ball, doesn't it? Oh, God. That's the embodiment of what's wrong with this team. I don't know. How do you say, what makes you, how about just you, Aaron? What makes you think running this back again with you and Cashman making the decisions and most of the core players back? Hopefully Bellinger's back. I mean, he's one guy I would want back. But Volpe, we're going forward with Volpe. Holes everywhere. Hole at first base. I mean, there's a lot to do here. But your answer can't be, I don't know what we're going to do or why I should think we can win it all. You know, they changed it. They moved the furniture around a little bit. They fired the bullpen coach because he had a lot to do with this, and the first base coach because he had a lot to do with this. And the third hitting instructor. You can't make this stuff up. That's how the Yankees address change, right? Danny didn't get a chance because you forgot Jackson. I don't want to. I don't want to. Max mute button. Jack was fired up this morning. I want to let him go. Geez, was he fired up about the Jet quarterback situation? Holy moly. Danny's here. I was just talking about you, Danny. And if you missed the beginning of the show, I was talking about starting pitching. And the two things I want to take away from this. The Dodgers, you used the term, which is exactly correct this morning when you said, Dave Roberts. I know you Dodger fans aren't crazy about Dave Roberts. I think we like him outside the organization more than, or outside of the fan base, maybe more than they do. He used the eye test instead of, what was on his script. And let Snell pitch 8 innings when he's dominating. Yamamoto pitch a complete game when he's dominating. Just don't take him out because the index card says take him out. Great job by Dave Roberts. And the second thing, all starting pitchers need to watch Max Scherzer. And I'm not saying be disrespectful to your manager or any of that, but have that mentality of, F you. I'm finishing this. It was only the 5th inning. It isn't like he was trying to take him out of a complete game shutout, right? But Scherzer had pitched well. Scherzer wanted to stay in the game. That's what I want to see out of every starting pitcher. Not look to the dugout for help every time you get in trouble. Damn, I love that. In any event, Dodgers up 3-0. I think they wrap it up tonight with Ohtani. In the other, who we got pitching tonight in the other series? We got a lot we can talk about today, too, besides the playoffs. We can talk a little bit about some comments the Philly brass made about Harper. Dombrowski said he hopes he can be elite again. Well, and managerial openings and whatnot. There's stuff to talk about. Sorry, who the heck is pitching for? Bear with me 1 second. It's a rematch. It's Gausman and Miller. Couldn't think of Miller's name. Oh, was Jack fired? Listen. We see. I love Jack to death. Jack, if you're watching, I love you. You know that. But Jack gets wordy. To be kind. But Jack doesn't necessarily get angry. Jack was angry at me. I never said they shouldn't take out Fields in the middle of the game. Anyway, that's for a different day. Dodgers are who we thought they were. And Jack, Danny made the comment. Jack did say all year the Dodgers were the best team. I've said it pretty much all year. I did say I thought they got bored. I thought this team would win 115 games. They're their own worst enemy. I did say, and I'm not running it back just yet, Danny, that the Mariners had as good or better a staff than the Dodgers. And that I wasn't trying. The Dodgers are really good, obviously, really good. And until last night, I thought the Mariners pitched almost as well. But the Dodgers have been dominant. Yeah, well, it's where I've stuffed a lot of stuff with the analytics, Danny, for sure. Hello, Michael. Good to have you with us. Michael, I get your column up here tonight. I've been busy today with the show, and I had some errands I had to run. It's my my massage, my monthly therapeutic massage. It keeps me alive, basically. Got moved from Monday to today, so we hadn't had time to do that. But yeah, the parity question is another thing, right? It was a good discussion, and Brian Arntz brought up, there needs to be parity. I don't want parity. I want teams to be competitive, but I don't need parity. I don't need a bunch of 82 and 80 teams fighting it out with tiebreakers to get into a watered-down playoff system that we have already. I'm okay with dominant teams and have-nots, but those have-nots have to try, right? You want to put a hard cap in baseball? Danny mentioned today during that discussion that he's okay with a luxury tax. So am I, and so should be the teams that want to spend all this money, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Phillies, the Red Sox, and the Mets. But there's like 6 teams that can go out and get Ohtani, and I get that. You have to recognize that. I don't want a system, quite frankly, where every team has a shot at Ohtani. And quite frankly, they could. If a guy with enough money buys a team and wants to invest in it, and again, years ago, teams weren't looking to make a bundle of money. These were not, the owners weren't there to be making billions of dollars. They were there they were toys for these guys, basically. And they wanted to win. So you got to put a minimum salary cap in. To me, it's more important to do that than put a cap, a high cap on. You got to make these teams spend. If you want to be a Major League Baseball owner, you've got to spend X amount of money on your team, or we'll just take it away from you. That's what's fair to the fans. Jack did get a little goofy, the teams with the most fans ought to, have. Well, again, it works out that way anyway, because the team with the most fans are the teams with the most money. They're the teams that I talked about. Who's drawing the most year in and year out? The Dodgers, the Yankees. Maybe not the Red Sox because they got a small ballpark, but I think this has been entertaining. Even with the Dodgers up 3-0, the games, some of the games have been close, and Brewers just, again, that without that big bopper, once you fall behind 3-1, you got to put together rallies, and there've been some weird plays. That double play the other night, or that forced play at home. I don't care. They did get a double play when the center fielder caught the ball, dropped the ball, went off the wall, throws it home, gets a force out. They got a double play. Might be the only time in history we ever got that double play combination. Center fielder to the shortstop or second baseman, whoever's the cutoff man there, to the catcher who gets the out at home and walks to third base. But it's been entertaining, I think. Do I use Robert Kraft's service? No, that was a massage parlor. I go to for therapeutic massages. They're not for happy endings. And quite frankly, since I started, my wife introduced these to me like 7 years ago, and I never would have done this if she hadn't pushed me to go. I mean, I was struggling so bad with my rheumatoid arthritis. I couldn't even pick up a coffee cup because my joints hurt so bad. I was having trouble playing golf. I was having trouble just functioning daily. I go once a month, 90 minutes. Best money I spend the entire month, I can tell you right now. So anyway, no, not Bob Kraft's therapist. What else is on your guys' mind today, baseball-wise? How about Dave Dombrowski? Was it him that says, oh my get back. So let me see. What are his numbers here? He's still an 844 OPS this year, right? He had only 261. He had some stints on the disabled list. He's still an all-star player. And Dombrowski says he's still a quality player. He's still an all-star player. He didn't have an elite season like he has in the past. I guess we'll only find out if he becomes elite or he continues to be good. Is there a reason to call out Bryce Harper, the best player on your team? And listen, you can like Bryce Harper or not. I happen to like him a lot. I don't really think you need to throw him under the bus here for the fact that, he didn't have his best season ever. Yes, he's injury prone. He went just for 3 for 15, I think, against the Dodgers. But, you're not getting out of this deal. He's got about, what's he got, 6 or, let me see if it says here. I can't find it quickly. I got to believe he's got 6 or 7 years left on the long-term contract that he signed. He's not going anywhere. And if this is you trying to light a fire under Bryce Harper's ass, I don't think you need to light a fire under him at all. Going to be some changes. They're either going to trade or release Castellanos. I'm a little surprised and happy because I like Rob Thompson. Again, he's got to harbor some of the blame here, right? But the only way I wanted Rob Thompson to lose his job is if Aaron Boone was going to get moved out and we're going to bring him to New York. This isn't hindsight, remember. I've talked on this show. I wanted, when Aaron Boone was, before he was hired, I wanted Rob Thompson, who'd been on the Yankee staff for a long time. Didn't even get an interview. Cool. Thank you. Well, we'll check that out. Are you very prominent, AC, in this video? And how did you do? I think we asked you Sunday, and I'm not sure if you had left or I missed a comment. How did we do? Or is it something I should watch and be surprised? I do want to check this out though this weekend. How can I? The problem is I can't copy and paste from here. AC, was that you who brought the Trump guy into? What was that, Wednesday night? It's been a weird week on Facebook. I got it on post. So I had. Listen, I certainly don't have a problem with people like Trump, but the guy just kept saying Trump, and I had to block him because that isn't what the show is, number one. And number two, it's annoying as hell. So I blocked him. Sorry. And then Danny shared, Danny, we get the Facebook will talk about, the top followers for a page like TGI Sports Talk. And Danny was among the top engagers, if you will, as Rick often is, as AC is, as Drew has been through the years, as a lot of you guys. Chris, Michael now. But Danny shared his, which he often does, and I really appreciate it because he shares that, that he's one of the top engagers or top followers, whatever terminology they use. I think they change it up. And gives a little plug for the show, and I really liked it. But Danny, who was a guy who just went on a harangue about I'm not even sure what. And I don't know who he was talking about, whether he was talking about you or me or other people or whether he was just insane. I have no idea. So I thought it was kind of weird. I mean, I only saw it because when I'm tagged, we're going to see the comments. So it's just been a weird freaking, it's just been a weird thing, Yeah. I haven't changed. if they'd won the World Series, I wouldn't have had anything to argue about, right? Even with the World Series last year, they did win, did they? Did I miss that? I mean, they haven't won a World Series since 2009, long before Aaron Boone was part of this organization. They've been to three World Series, last year. But I'll count that one and not count 2004 now. So that's 2 in 20 years. That's not good enough. And the other team, every year, the team they're playing steps up and hits in a clutch, pitches well, fields well, plays great fundamental baseball. See the Blue Jays. See the Dodgers last year. You know why the Dodgers beat the Yankees in the World Series? Number one, they were better. But number two, they were fundamentally sounder than the Yankees. And I'm sorry, that you just can't keep running it back. Danny, I don't know if you heard me, but in the season-ending press conference, which all our Yankee fans have become used to, Cashman and Boone sitting there, say we'll try harder. Boone was asked, why do people in this organization think that this group of people, meaning Boone and Cashman and right up to Steinbrenner's and whomever else you want to bring in the conversation, are going to get this team over the top? And he says, I don't know. Well, that's a ringing endorsement for yourself and your boss. And all the more reason why I don't want this guy around anymore. I like Aaron Boone. He's a pretty good guy. Brian Cashman, I still harbor ill feelings, and we talked about this morning, the way they jerked Derek Jeter around the end of his career. And Danny mentioned, because Jack and I were talking about it, and Jack, he thinks they mended fences, sure, in public, I think. Derek Jeter still is hurt by what they did to him. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, near the end of his career, the last contract he signed before he retired, the Yankees said, feel free to go out and shop yourself around and get a better deal. It's Derek Jeter, not Aaron Boone. Oh, my God, Jesus. So anyway, you can see why I feel the way I feel. AC made a little money. Sweet. Good. Rick's heading out to Turning Stone this weekend. I got a lot of gambling going on. You don't know him? I never seen him before, so I don't know who he was. I was kidding. I didn't think you did. I mean, it's just obnoxious, right? Where it's relevant, and you guys know me, right? The shows aren't political. Sometimes we get into something will come up and it sparks. It's relevant to the sports world and maybe has some kind of tie to the world of politics or whatever. And we'll dive ever so deep. We don't go that deep. I think I've gotten myself in trouble with some people just because of my own political views. I can't do anything about it, guys. That's who I am. I don't unfriend people. I don't block people unless you're doing something like that guy did. But geez, you can't. We don't start out with that and then just continue to, whatever. I love to know who that guy is on Danny's page, though. Danny, I'm assuming you don't know this guy. And it doesn't matter if you do. It's not your problem. It was just weird. This guy's rant was like 5 paragraphs. And it was something about the woman, I think, who was wanted to have ice, threatened it. I think it was at a Dodger game, Danny. I'm not sure. The woman didn't like the people next door. I don't know the whole story. All I know is supposedly she threatened to call ice on them during the game. It is annoying, right? It's just the video's from Jacksonville, but I'm back up north. I might be able to go to Turning Stone Sunday, but tomorrow I have to take care of your granny. That's nice you take care of your granny. Miss my grandparents. It's good that you got your, I had my grandparents I was 42. Was I 42 or 50? So 40. I was 44 when my grandfather passed away. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents when I was a kid. My mom was a single mom. We only saw my dad on the weekends. But we stayed with my grandparents all the time, Friday to Sunday. My dad would pick us up on a Sunday. We'd go there and come back to my grandparents and go home later on. But they were very important in my life, and it's great to have them. It's great that you're taking care of your grandparents now. Not a lot of people get to have them as late in life as you have. It would appear, AC, and I did myself, so it's always cool. Yeah, I think I kind of figured it out, Danny. Look at Aaron Boone's. I just want to get over it. It's not all Aaron Boone. Part of Aaron Boone's problem, there's a couple of problems I have with Aaron Boone. The fact that I believe the front office and Cashman dictate a lot of the scripting that goes on. Hence why I like so much the eye test with the Dodgers here in this series. There's the fact that, he doesn't hold anybody accountable for anything. Simple, fundamental baseball mistakes. He never holds anybody accountable. And I have a problem with the way he pretty much kept his job. I want to say it was 3 years ago. Maybe it's 4 now. Time and I have a very complicated relationship. But similar to Mendoza this year with the Mets, he only could keep his job by throwing certain lieutenants under the bus, including his best friend in baseball. I'll hold that against him forever. And people can say, well, you wouldn't quit your job. And blah. Well, I'm not making millions. He could easily have walked away from his job. Winner of today's AL game wins it in 7, I believe. The winner of today's game wins in 7. It's funny. I think it's quite possible the Blue Jays win again today. And the Mariners come back and win 2 at home. I think it goes 7. Either way, I guess is my point. Miller pitched really good in game 1. So did Gausman and came out sooner. They didn't, and they didn't really. I think 75 pitches Miller threw game 1. No, it was. It wasn't on the show share. It was that, the Facebook notification that talks about the top followers or the top engagers with certain pages. And you often share it, which I thank you for. You shared it to your page and, gave a compliment to the show and whatnot, which is always amenable. Then some nut job posted something, I think, about the Karen. I don't even know what side he was arguing, quite frankly. And I don't know it was directed at you, whether it was directed at me. I didn't even talk about the woman. I think it was in Dodger Stadium. I'm almost positive. This altercation happened. I think that's what he's talking about, but it's so rambling, I have no idea. So, anyway. Let's take a quick look around a couple other things. What else is going on in baseball? We just talked about Harper. What else is going on? Baseball news-wise. We talked about the Yankees and the issues there. Listen, Volpe's got. They're going to hold that job for Volpe until he's healthy next year, whether it's a month or 2 months, whatever it might be. But Volpe had better take hold of this job before Lombard's ready, because he's not going to have it for long after that. No, it wasn't that. No, it was a totally different one. And I think it was like Wednesday, Danny. I did tag you in I don't know what I said. I didn't say much. I just said, yikes. I think I tagged you and said, yikes, is all I did. In a comment on your post. So a guy as popular as you has a ton of those notifications, Danny, or don't have notifications at all. Some people don't. I probably should get rid of them myself. Brewers, way to go to allow Dodgers to sweep them. Way too good to allow the Dodgers to sweep them. They are a good team, but they aren't scoring runs. And again, a lot of that is attributable to the Dodgers pitching, not just the starting pitching, by the way. Suzuki's been a huge, and correct me if I'm wrong, Danny, But he's been just a big piece of the playoff puzzle and maybe the late season puzzle for, I don't remember when exactly he came back. If you remember, he was a highly touted young kid starter from Japan. Got hurt. He's come back in the playoffs, and he's been good for, I don't know if he's given up a run or he's pretty much been automatic out of the bullpen. I think my take there is accurate. If I'm wrong, please correct me. What other news we have here going on? I love what Scherzer did last night, too. As I said. Brewers have not announced a starting pitcher, at least the last I saw. Let's see here. Do they have a starter listed yet? This morning they did not. Oh, they've now announced Jose Quintana. Good luck there. I think the Dodgers sweep tonight. I really do. And by the way, the Hurricanes play tonight too, so I got to have 2 TVs going for these things tonight. 3 TVs. Well, we won't get the TVs out. We'll just watch it on the iPads and the TV. Managerial changes too. We had another opening when Schlitt, the manager for the Padres, decided to step away. A little surprised that he stepped away. I'm not sure that was totally his decision or not. But we've got the Braves open yet, the Orioles open, the Rockies, the Angels, the Twins, the Padres, the Giants. The Rangers is filled with Skip Schumacher and the Nationals. Be very interesting off season here to see who gets picked up here. Roki had a bad game in game 2, 9th inning. Otherwise, Roki's been amazing. I must have missed that 9th inning. He has been good. Convicts, yes, tonight. I gotta do better. Here's what I want to happen. I don't want to talk college football too much, but Danny, I want them to run the table. I want them to get the playoffs so we can really have some spirited conversation about the University of Miami. Which one of these fired managers gets another job? Bud Black, I do not think manages again. I think he could get a job. He dealt a bad hand in Colorado. I don't think he manages again. Dave Martinez, he's got a World Series victory, could get another shot. Brandon Hyde, I think Brandon Hyde gets another chance. I'd like to see Miguel Cairo get that job, by the way, in Washington. Derek Shelton, I do not think gets another job. And by the way, the Pittsburgh job did go to Don Kelly, who was given the full-time job. He was the interim manager. Bob Melvin, he might have had enough. Bob Melvin did a really good job in Oakland with nothing, basically. Well, not nothing, but, he was there with the remnants of Moneyball. Then he goes to San Diego, where they got a huge payroll, and did okay, but couldn't win in the playoffs. He could come back. Rocco Baldelli, I think, gets another shot. He did really well in Minnesota until this past year. Ron Washington is done. He'll probably coach again. He's a lifer. And I really think the Angels did him wrong, by the way. And I think Bruce Bochy is most likely done. Brian Schnitker, done. Bochy and Schnitker, I think, walked away on their own. I think the way I understand it, Bochy talked to Chris Young and said, you're going to spend some money so that we have some offense. And they said, well, we have some budgetary constraints. And he said, see you later. I do not disagree, actually. I think they win a close game. I think Ole Miss could cover this game. I think, and again, I don't want to get too much into college football, but I think Georgia wins this game at home. Couple reasons. Still not sold on Ole Miss. And And I like Lane. Everybody knows I like Lane. Georgia may not be, what Georgia's been the last, 7 years, but Kirby Smart's still on the sideline. They're at home, and they got a revenge game. So I like Georgia. Pujols is an interesting, and I'm assuming that's who you're talking about, Danny. Pujols is an interesting case because from all indications, he thought the Cardinal job was coming open, and that's the job he wanted. And I think myself as well, as long as most people felt Marmol was going to get fired. Cardinals decided, for whatever reason, because they have not been very good under Marmol, to stay the course. And Pujols doesn't have an opportunity there. I think he got the first interview with the Angels, and I find it a little odd. And I don't think he wants to manage anywhere but the Angels. I don't think. Maybe he does. I don't think he wanted to I think he wanted the Cardinal job is what he wanted. Angels were a good fallback because he was there a long time. He'd be better off not going to the Angels. Not as long as Artie Moreno owns that team. Stay away from there. But I find it interesting that they make a big deal about interviewing him, and then they say, well, we're going to broaden our search. That's not a good sign for Pujols. And maybe it's a good thing for him. Does he fit anywhere else? I mean, think about it. I don't think the Braves are hiring him. I don't think the Braves want a first-time manager. The Orioles may want somebody like Hyde, maybe they're past that development stage and they need an experienced. I think they need an experienced manager. I think the Braves will go with somebody with some experience, at least coaching. The Rockies, who knows what the Rockies will do? Who knows what the Angels will do? The Twins, if he had ties to the Twins, I could see it because they've gone that route before with Rocco Baldelli, and it worked out pretty well. Torrey Hunter, I heard, is in play, both in California and Minnesota. The Padres, I don't know. They've gone veteran manager with Melvin and Schlitt the last 2 times. Maybe they swapped that up. The Giants, after an initial good start with Kapler, who didn't have a lot of experience or any experience, that went south. So I don't know if they'll want to go. And then they went the other way this time with Melvin, so who knows which way they'll go. The Rangers could be an interesting option. Well, the Rangers hired Skip Schumacher. Forget that. The Nationals could be an option, I guess. But I don't know if any of these teams are going to want to hire somebody without any ties to the organization and no experience. Usually when and as I'm trying to think if I could be mistaken here. Usually when a guy gets a job with very little or no experience, he's got a relationship with that organization, which is why the Angels and Cardinals made sense for Pujols, right? Aaron Boone had ties to the Yankees when he got this job. I'm trying to think of some other guys that weren't coaches even. Rocco Baldelli I believe he had ties in Minnesota. Maybe I'm wrong. The Mariner manager, the catcher, Wilson, ties to the organization. So I don't know. I don't know if Pujols gets a job outside of the Angels. And again, I don't know if do you want that anchor tied around you? You want your first time around to be a guaranteed, I'm going to lose a bunch more games than I win? Hello, Scott Kobe. Oh, that's a great bet. I think that's a great bet. What's that? 2 2/3 innings? How do you get 8.5 outs, by the way? I guess you can't get a push here. Good bet. I would say, you look at, yes, everybody's on deck to pitch tonight, including me. Maybe they should have had time. I do believe the Orioles need experienced managers. JB, good afternoon. Good to have you with us as well. What's going on there? Check out JB's Back at a Binge podcast. Does some great interviews there. Yeah, I agree. No pools. I agree. How about, I thought about this. Bochy's not coming there. Bochy's done. How about Bob Melvin to the Orioles? It seems like a fit to me. Maybe I'm wrong. I think Melvin's got a pretty good track record other than the last 2 years were absolutely mediocre with the Giants. They had their moments. But he's won with teams with a lot of talent, like the Padres. Enough to get into the playoffs anyway. And he won with teams with less talent with the A's. I think Melvin would be an interesting choice in Baltimore. I've also heard Rocco Baldelli's name in Baltimore as well. I don't know whether that's true. If there's any truth to that. JB, you may have your ear to the ground more than I do. I think Michael likes Joe Girardi a lot more than I do. I know he brings him up a lot with the Yankees. I don't think he'll ever come back to the Yankees. Joe Girardi to the Orioles, I guess, would make some sense. To the untrained eye, anyway. I'm not a fan of Girardi because I think his teams play exactly like he is, wound too tight. He's got a World Series victory. God bless him. I think Joe was a good hire for the Yankees when he brought him in. But I think what you really saw where Girardi is today is more what the Phillies did when he managed them and the end of his Yankee tenure. But maybe that's the fit that the Orioles need. I mean, he's similar to Buck in a way. And Buck had a lot of success with the Orioles at the time when the Orioles needed a guy like Buck. And I see some similarities with Joe and Buck. I like Buck a lot. Maybe the Orioles ought to bring Buck back. David Ross, I agree, Danny, needs to be looked at. He got a cursory interview with the Astros last year. I'm not sure if he got another interview other than that. He'll get interviews this time around. I think the Orioles could probably do worse than David Ross. I have a sense that, and this got talked about a couple of weeks ago, then kind of faded away. But I have a sense that maybe the Braves would be the best fit for David Ross of the teams that are looking for somebody now. Or maybe the Padres. That would be really from left field, wouldn't it, though, Scott? And JB, I'd love you to chime in on the Cal Ripken Jr. thing. Cal's never shown any interest in managing. He's away from the game for a long time, longer than, say, Aaron Boone, I think, was away from the game. He's done some broadcasting, obviously. I'm sure it would be a popular hire in Baltimore, but again, I don't think that team needs a first-time manager and a guy who has no coaching or managerial experience anywhere. That's an intriguing name. It's the only place Cal Ripken would ever be offered a job, in my mind, would be with the Orioles. But it'd be interesting. Ryan Flaherty? Interesting. JB would take Buck back. Buck did a great job there. Buck does a good job wherever he goes and just wears out his welcome. I mean, I think he's learned from his early stints in New York and Arizona and Texas, that he lightened up a little bit in Baltimore, but still was Buck. Maybe even more so with the Mets. I thought he got a raw deal with the Mets, actually. But I love Buck. I was clamoring for Buck. Danny will get a kick out of this. I think there was 1 year where Buck was available. Buck was working in the Yankee studio show, and the Yankees were floundering badly, at the 90 game mark or something. And of course, I'm not a big fan of in-season managerial changes, I said, but I was clamoring for a managerial change then, and I wanted Buck installed and Aaron Boone out. So Aaron Boone and I have a lot of history. David Ross certainly deserves a job. I've heard a couple different times on MLB radio players don't like Melvin. Yeah, I don't know. We're going to hear all that stuff, right? Do you? And if we heard that he liked them, I don't know if I'd believe that either, right? So who knows? JB kind of goes down my road. Cal will never be a manager. He's happy with his front office job. I kind of agree. Similar to Jeter, I see Repkin and Jeter kind of the same way. Jeter was happy running the organization. I don't think he had any interest in getting into the dugout. Now he's happy broadcasting. Maybe he'll get back into somebody's front office. It probably won't be the Yankees. Not as long as the current regime is there, because, yes, he does harbor a grudge. Brett Boone, that's a good one. That's a good one. Can learn from what his little brother, mistakes his little brother's made. I wonder I wonder if he's in or out at Texas. I'm guessing he's out with Schumacher going in there. Brett might be a guy. I think I can see Brett one day. Maybe when Terry Francona steps down at Cincinnati, or Dan Wilson runs his course in Seattle. He's another guy I see managing some place he's got ties to. I like that one, though. Luis Rojas was interviewed in Baltimore. That's interesting. Here's another guy who got a raw deal. Did he get, what did he get, 1 year with the Mets? One of the sons of the great Felipe Alou. Felipe's got a bunch of kids with a bunch of different names. What's going on there? I love Felipe Alou, by the way. Raw deal with the Mets equals Willie Randolph. It brings up a great point, and I think I'm going to write this down for Jack and me. Because remember, here's one thing I'd like you guys to do if you can. I'm going to post it on the page, the TGI Sports Talk page. Jack and I need in the next few weeks to put 5 shows in a can, 5 out. And we're going to do an hour on general topics. I think one of them just reminded me, Michael, Jack shows. MLB managers who never got another shot. So if you guys come up with any other topics, baseball, football, college sports, basketball, whatever, sports in general, Olympics, I don't care. If you got a topic that we can debate a little bit for an hour-ish, throw them at me. There'll be no audience. There'll be no, it'll be just Jack and I, and then we'll air those shows. Willie Randolph is a great example of that. Another one, though? We only got a few minutes left. We can go a couple minutes over if we have to. How about Cito Gaston? How did Cito Gaston never get another shot after Toronto? He only won back-to-back World Series. Only the second time it had been done in decades. Well, not decades. A couple of decades. Nobody's done it, by the way. Dodgers going for two-peat here. It hasn't been done since the Yankees in 2000 and 2001, or 99 and 2000, whatever that is. Mike Scioscia's another great guy. Never got another shot. Why? I think it's too late for Mike Scioscia. What's it been, 10 years since he managed? That's a great example, by the way. I'll write these two down. Randolph, Scioscia, Gaston. Great examples. Great manager. Word name tossed out there. Mark DeRosa. Actually, Mark DeRosa is, now that I think about it, David Ross might have gotten pushed aside. I talked about the fact that his name came up, but now I remember why his name kind of faded, is Mark DeRosa's has been more prominently mentioned now with that Atlanta job. So good catch there, JV. Mark DeRosa did a great job with Team USA, and he's a smart baseball guy. He's one of those guys I always wish played on my team. Always. If the Braves don't hire DeRosa, I think Baltimore should take a run at hire him. He's one guy with less experience that I would say maybe take a shot at. I like the way he handled himself in the WBC. And you can say, well, that's just exhibitions and whatever. I get it. But I think you can get a feel for a guy in a short period of time. Ross deal with the Mets had by Met fans. Well, Willie, to send Willie on a road trip, fire him on a plane, was ridiculous. They could have kept him home and fired him. First of all, they probably shouldn't have fired him. And his top lieutenant, Jerry Manuel, submarined him and got the job. And then they fire him on a plane flying to the West Coast. NFL bust. That's a good one too. Thank you, Scott. We've come up with a few. Jack might already have that one on his list. So we're going to take 5 shows and we'll get 5 good topics and we'll go from there. You nailed it this morning, though, Danny. If you don't see momentum in the Dodgers and their Dodgers starting pitching, then you just don't know what momentum is. I mean, go back to science class because there is real momentum there. It's like a wave. Good shit. Good one. I love Donnie. I think Donnie might be done. His time might have passed too. I don't know, Danny. I don't know what you thought of Donnie's tenure in L.A. I know he made some mistakes. It was his first time managing. He learned under the tutelage of Joe Torre, both in L.A. and New York. And if you remember, Mattingly was a finalist for the job with Girardi when he got it. And it's probably best for Donnie that he didn't get it then because he had a lot of issues in his private life at the time. His wife at the time was going through a lot of stuff, and it's probably best he didn't get the job. But I thought he did a pretty good job in LA. I thought he did a good job with nothing to work with in Miami. But I don't know if Donnie's going to get another shot. If he does, it might be in New York. I thought he'd be managing Toronto because I thought Schneider would have got fired 2 years ago. Backman's never going to get a job. It would be entertaining for sure. He's got experience because he's managed all over in the Bush leagues now. There's a documentary. Damn, I can't think of the name of it. I got to find it because I found clips on Facebook. They keep popping up. And I think we'll go a little over just a few minutes. Can't think of it. There's a documentary about where he's managing right now. I think it's Independent Baseball. And there's some great stuff in there. He goes up into confront the announcers. He's having a fight with umpires as usual. But I think the way that everything went down in Arizona with Backman, I don't think he's going to get another shot. He would have gotten it by now. He's a guy who probably would have killed it. That's a good one too. He never got another shot. Ozzie Guillen. Good one, Scott. What you better and careful. I don't have time. I've had Byron on already again recently. I could get Jim on, I suppose. Jack, do an interview of Jack. You know what I should do is maybe I will get Jack and Maybe we'll get Jack and Frank together, interview both of them. Byron, I did interview. My last round of interviews, Byron was one of those. So I think there wouldn't be much ground to cover there. Jim, I interviewed years ago before we started doing the show together on Sunday mornings a lot. Maybe we could revisit Jim, but it's hard. I'll be honest with you, Rick. I just can't find the motivation to go back out and do all that work. I mean, I can do these shows and, you guys make these shows easy to do, and the interview shows are a lot of work. It's a lot of work chasing the guys down, and it's a lot of work in prep and whatnot. And I don't mind once I get into it. I just need some time. I need to. I still need to decompress more from being done with the meat grinder that I've been in for the last 23 years at my last position, which I loved the company. Things started to change a lot. And some of you who might be watching who are still there now know what I'm talking about. But I'm still decompressing. So I haven't been able to throw myself into it. It's not going to happen in the next 2 weeks, I can tell you that. Jack and Keith need to have special guests on their shows. I volunteer as me, and Keith can talk about the whole, try to get Jack to come with us to expound on the virtues of tapioca night. Jack's closer to the home than I am, and certainly you, Scott. Scott Covey. Madeline was good. It was Frank, the idiot McCourt. Good. I'm glad to hear that. I thought Donnie did a good job. I know there was some weird mistakes he made. One time, I know what a pitcher he had to pull out because he went to the mound, then turned around and went back. But again, small stuff. It wasn't like it was a World Series game. I thought Donnie was a good manager. McCourt's still a millionaire just from parking lot. Just from the parking lot in L.A., no lie. McCourt, he's still a millionaire just from the parking lot in L.A. What's that mean? Now I got to wait to find out what that means. Jack interviews himself enough already. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? I got a couple ideas here. NFL busts are a good one. MLB managers who never got their shots, a good one. Jack we had a couple that came up a couple of weeks ago on the show. Shaq Secure. I love Jack to death. He almost got the mute button today, but he was on a good roll. I was enjoying seeing him angry. Why he was angry at me, I have no idea. But it's all good. I'm waiting for Dan to give me one more Frank McCourt comment. So one more time, tonight's baseball schedule. You got Kevin Gausman against Bryce Miller. That game's at 6:08. The Dodgers and Brewers will play at 8:30. FS1 is the first game, and TBS, True TV, and HBO Max. How they got involved in this, I have no idea. Quintana against Ohtani. I think the Dodgers wrap it up. And we have no pitcher set for Saturday. Milwaukee and LA, if needed. Sunday, we'll definitely need that game Sunday in Toronto. And again, no home teams have won a game. Let's see, hang on. I'll go to your other comments. I want to get to McCourt had the parking lot right separate from the Dodgers. He still owns the revenue from the parking lot. No lie. I get that. You know what? It's funny, Danny, because, and again, we're a baseball show, not a football show, but that's exactly, by the way, so he's done it backwards, I guess. That's exactly how Bob Kraft got to be owner of the Patriots. First, he owned all the land around the stadium, including the parking lots, because back in those days, the old Foxborough Stadium, they were just fields, basically, that we parked in. There was a racetrack, and he bought the racetrack, the harness track. Then he bought the stadium. And he leveraged all that into buying the team and keeping them in New England because they were in Foxborough. They were about to leave for Bridgeport. Bridgeport, Connecticut would at least been still New England, but St. Louis was probably where they were heading. So it's very interesting. That's exactly how. We better hope that McCourt doesn't do that. What else do we have here? Stay off Jack's lawn. Was it past Jack's neck time? I don't. He just went off. He was really good in the morning before we got started, and we started talking about the Jets. And man, he went off on me and other people like me who say you can't pull a quarterback. I never said you can't pull a quarterback, but not all pulling a quarterback situations are the same. He just went off. Oh, it was too funny. Play your jingle. All right, I'm going to play the jingle, and then if there's any last comments, we'll wrap it up after that. Mac, the great Mac McGrath. I got to find it because Facebook has moved some stuff around on me, so bear with me for 1 second. My video clips have moved. The jingle. The dulcet tones. Linda, I hope you're listening.
Keith Engle, the guy with the sports talk show. On the internet, he's the guy that we all know. If you love your sports, he's the guy for you. He has lots of shows on Roku. Keith Engle with the TGI Sports Talk Show.
You know, maybe I need to open the shows with that. The dulcet sounds of the late Mac McGrath, our good friend and colleague who we miss a lot. Good stuff for sure. Love the jingle. Right. I'm glad Rick reminds me now and again to play it. And maybe we'll have to start getting the habit of playing it every show. Yes, check out tomorrow. Check out I think on Northeast Streaming or National Streaming Sports YouTube channel. And if I find it, I try to share it. I haven't recently. The debate show with Jack and James and Brian, I guess. Also, we'll do the Sunday Stream of Consciousness on Sunday morning. You can see us at 9 a.m. and we'll do the big football show for an hour before that. And we'll also simulcast it. So we'll see you guys then. Have a great day. Good luck, Danny, tonight. Not betting any of these games, but we'll have some fun. Go, Canes! Bye-bye.